Chosen one, listen closely. Everyone's talking about this moon, but almost nobody is paying attention to what it's doing right now. January 31st isn't just another date. It's a quiet signal, the kind God sends before the big moment, so you can be ready, not surprised, because something is building in the unseen, and it's already starting to shift things in your life in ways you might not have fully recognized yet. And when the full moon arrives on February 1st, it brings what I can only describe as 7 small miracles, not loud, not flashy, subtle, specific, timed. And the reason I'm being this direct is because the next 48 hours matter. Some of you are going to want to call it coincidence, but deep down, you'll know. God is moving, and life is starting to move in your favor. Now stay with me, because I'm going to tell you the 7 in a way you can actually recognize in real life. But first, before we go any further, tap like, subscribe, and comment, "I'm ready," if you're open to the changes God is bringing into your life. Because this isn't just a moon. This is a moment where God uses what's ordinary to deliver what's extraordinary. Miracle number 1, the message that arrives at the exact right time. This is the first thing many people notice: a text, a call, an email, a random conversation you almost didn't have, and it lands like it was scheduled. Not because the other person is psychic, because God can place the right words in front of you right on time. You've been praying for clarity, even if you didn't say it out loud. And suddenly, you hear something that answers the question you've been carrying. And you'll feel it in your chest, because it's not just information, it's confirmation. Miracle number 2. The moment your mind finally gets quiet enough to hear direction. Some of you have been stuck in mental noise, overthinking, second-guessing, running the same loop. What if I mess it up? What if I choose wrong? But during this window, God brings a different kind of peace, the kind that doesn't need everything to be perfect to move forward. You'll get one clear thought, simple, steady, calm, and it will cut through the confusion like a light turning on. Not hype, not adrenaline, just certainty. And you'll know what to do next. Now listen, those are only the first 2. Because miracle number 3 is the one that feels like luck, but it's actually protection. And miracle number 5, that's the one where a small decision changes the direction of your week. But I need you to understand what makes this moment different. January 31st is the build-up. This has been forming quietly, and sometimes God doesn't announce the shift. He reveals it through patterns. Once you notice it, you can't unsee it. Timing starts getting too exact. Doors open in ways that don't make sense on paper. You avoid something that would have drained you, without even realizing you were being redirected. And you start realizing God has been guiding you, even when you thought you were alone. That's why your routine might look normal. But something will feel different. A conversation hits deeper than expected. A meeting carries more weight than it should. A little choice becomes a turning point. And here's the part people don't like to hear, but it's love when I say it. During moments like this, God brings things to the surface, not to shame you, but to free you. You may feel more sensitive. Your emotions might come up faster. Old frustration, old fear. That quiet worry you've been carrying for too long. Not because you're weak, because you're ready. God doesn't heal what you hide. He heals what you bring into the light. So if you feel a wave, don't panic. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It can mean something is being loosened, so something new can take its place. And when you stop resisting, you make room for the miracles to land, because every emotional wave, every sudden realization, every knowing you can't explain, can be part of something bigger unfolding. Miracle number 3, the random protection that saves you from what you didn't see. This one is subtle, and that's why people miss it. Something gets delayed. A plan falls through. A door you wanted doesn't open. And in the moment, it's easy to feel irritated, like you're being blocked. But later, you realize that delay kept you out of drama. That cancellation spared you from a bad decision. That closed door protected you from a situation that would have drained you. God doesn't always protect you by giving you what you want. Sometimes He protects you by preventing what would have harmed you. And during this window, protection can look like inconvenience. So if something doesn't work out between January 31st and February 1st, don't assume it's rejection. It might be redirection. Miracle number 4. A hard conversation becomes easier than it should be. Some of you have a conversation you've been avoiding, with a partner, with family, with a co-worker, with someone you care about, but things have felt heavy. And during this time, God can soften what used to trigger conflict, not because the other person suddenly becomes perfect, but because you show up with clarity. You say what you mean without shaking. You hear what they say without spiraling. You set a boundary without feeling guilty for it. And even if the conversation isn't pleasant, it becomes clean. Less confusion, less mixed signals, more truth. That's a miracle in real life, because peace isn't the absence of tension. Peace is the presence of direction. Now here's something I need you to recognize, because it's a major retention point. If you're feeling emotions rise right now, it can be a sign that God is lifting what you've been carrying, not to embarrass you, not to punish you, to free you. Sometimes the feelings you've been avoiding surface because you're finally safe enough to face them. Old resentment, quiet fear, that I'm not enough voice. The pressure you've been carrying alone. And if you're being honest, some of that pain was never yours to carry in the first place. You learned it. You inherited it. You absorbed it. But God is not calling you to live trapped inside old patterns. This is a moment where things can come up, not to break you, but to break off you. And that's why you may suddenly understand things you couldn't explain before. You realize why you reacted a certain way, why the same situation keeps repeating, why certain people always pull you off center. When God brings revelation, it doesn't always feel comfortable, but it brings freedom, a key sign you're in a real shift. Your tolerance changes. This is big. You become less tolerant of drama you used to entertain, people who only show up when they need something, environments that steal your peace, confusion disguised as normal. And that doesn't mean you're becoming cold. It means your discernment is sharpening. Because when God is preparing you for what's next, He also prepares you to stop settling for what's draining you. Now listen, miracle number 5 is the one that looks tiny, but changes direction. And miracle number 6 is the one that makes you feel stronger on the inside, without having to prove anything. But before I give you those, you need this: how to tell the difference between fear and a divine nudge. Fear rushes you. It pressures you. It makes everything feel urgent and chaotic. A divine nudge feels different. It can be firm, but it's steady. It doesn't scream. It doesn't shame you. It doesn't confuse you. It leads you into clarity, even if the decision is hard. So if you feel the push to do something honest, responsible, aligned with peace, and it calls you higher without crushing you, that's not your anxiety. That may be God guiding you. And if you've been asking for a sign, pay attention. It might not come as a miracle in the sky. It might come as a moment of courage in your chest. Now, we're getting to the ones that change your week, because this is where you stop just feeling the shift and you start seeing it. Miracle number 5. One small decision becomes a turning point. This miracle almost always looks ordinary. You choose to respond differently. You decide to be honest instead of staying comfortable. You walk away from what drains you. You finally do the thing you've been delaying. And it seems minor until it starts a chain reaction. A boundary creates instant respect. A clear no creates space for a better yes. A calm choice saves you from a spiral you used to repeat. This is how God moves sometimes. Not through fireworks, through one decision that brings your life back into alignment. And you'll know it was real because it won't feel forced. It will feel like, why didn't I do this sooner? Miracle number 6. Strength shows up inside you without you having to prove anything. This one is deeply personal. You stop needing to explain yourself to people who don't listen. You stop chasing approval. You stop negotiating your peace. And the wild part is, you don't even feel angry about it. You just feel settled, like your spirit stands up straighter. Some of you have been carrying responsibility while also carrying guilt. You've been trying to hold everything together and still wondering if you're doing enough. But during this window, God can separate the two. Responsibility stays because it builds a life with meaning. But guilt starts to fall off because it was never meant to be your fuel. And that's when you feel stronger. Not louder, not meaner, stronger. The kind of strength that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't break down over every little thing, doesn't need to win to be okay. That's maturity. That's healing. That's God restoring you. And now I need you to zoom out, because there's something happening beyond just you. When people shift on the inside, the outside world responds. That's not a theory. If enough people stop tolerating confusion, relationships change. If enough people start speaking clearly, workplaces shift. If enough people choose integrity, communities stabilize. And you may start noticing it around you. People become less willing to pretend, less willing to keep the peace by staying silent, less willing to accept what feels fake. And yes, sometimes that looks messy at first, because when truth rises, what was held together by avoidance starts to crack. But that doesn't mean everything is collapsing. It means what was never solid stops being protected. That's correction, and correction is uncomfortable. But it's the only way things become healthy. A major sign of this phase, honesty, starts happening faster. People say what they mean, or they leave. Old patterns lose power. Old cycles stop getting fed. And if you've been waiting for life to make sense, this is where it begins to click. God isn't just changing your circumstances. He's changing your standards. He's raising what you're willing to accept. He's strengthening what you're willing to build. He's refining what you're willing to keep. And that's why your decisions might feel firmer right now. Not angry, clear, not impulsive, intentional. Now, we're at the final piece. This is the one that completes the circle. Miracle number 7. A quiet peace replaces the pressure. This is the miracle that people don't talk about because it doesn't look dramatic. But it's the one that changes everything. You wake up and the weight feels lighter. You still have responsibilities, but you're not carrying them with panic. You still have questions, but you're not drowning in them. You feel calm enough to choose wisely. And that kind of peace doesn't come from perfect circumstances. It comes from alignment, from your inner world finally matching what God is doing in your life. And when this peace settles in, you start noticing how real-life situations shift too. Arguments resolve faster. Misunderstandings clear up. You handle stress with less reaction. You speak with more clarity. Because when God stabilizes you on the inside, your outside world starts responding. Not by magic, by consequence. Your calmer tone changes a conversation. Your boundary changes what people expect from you. Your honesty changes what's possible. That ripple effect is the real engine of transformation. Now let me give you a simple way to move through this window with peace and intention, without turning it into something strange or complicated. A simple way to align with what God is doing right now. Start with water. Drink slowly, on purpose. Not because water is a magic trick, but because you're telling your nervous system, we're safe, we're steady, we're listening. Then add gentle movement, not performative, not intense. A slow walk, light stretching, a few deep breaths. Your body holds stress, and when your body settles, your mind becomes easier to guide. Then take 5 minutes to write. Not a perfect journal entry, just honest lines. What felt different today? What did I notice? What drained me? What gave me peace? What do I sense God asking me to release? Because later, when you look back, you'll see patterns you missed in the moment. And one more thing, stillness. Even 1 minute. Step outside, or stand near a window. No music, no scrolling, no noise. Just breathe and let your mind quiet down enough to hear direction. Because many people pray, but they never get still long enough to recognize the answer. And at the end of your day, do this. Name what shifted. Ask yourself, what felt lighter? What did I handle better? Where did I choose peace instead of reaction? Where did I choose truth instead of comfort? Then thank God for the clarity you received, even if it came in small moments. Because those small moments are how momentum is created. Your actions today don't end today. They carry forward. One calm decision creates another. One clear boundary creates space. One honest conversation changes the tone of your entire week. And this is why January 31st matters. It's a build-up, a threshold, a moment where God is already moving before the big moment arrives. Now take a moment. You've felt subtle shifts, signs of change, inner movement pointing you toward growth. Now it's time to claim it. Choose a phrase that feels true to you, something simple but powerful, and type it in the comments so you anchor it. I choose clarity. I walk in integrity. I'm ready for what God is opening. And if you know someone who's been feeling this shift too, share this with them. Because sometimes the smallest action creates the biggest ripple. Keep warmth in your heart, gratitude in your mind, and thank yourself for showing up, for paying attention, for being willing to grow. Because God doesn't waste moments like this. May this window bring you clarity, courage, and a quiet confidence in every choice you make. Remember, every step you take is part of your transformation. Embrace it, honor it, and trust. You're part of something bigger than what you can see.